It's Blair Truan welcoming you to the final race of the 2014 World Orienteering Championships. We're back where we were yesterday at Campomulo in the mountains of northeastern Italy, north of Venice. And started out a fine day today, but it has clouded over and we've had some showers in the last hour. We are expecting thunderstorms later on in the day, so that will make for quite challenging conditions for the runners. We start off with the women's relay, and the relay consists of 3 legs. With the first runner running their course, hands over to the second runner, and then finishes off with a third runner who has a slightly longer course. Unlike the individual races, all the runners start together, and the courses are forked so that not everybody is going to the same controls, but everybody ends up going to the same controls over the course of the 3 legs. So we see how this works on the map here as the women's course starts, goes up the hill to the first control, comes together to a common second control. You can see that the northern option there is quite a bit shorter, but the teams that have that short option on the first leg will have the longer ones on the second and third leg, so that evens out. They then go across into a flasher and quite technical session 3 to 4. 5 is a TV control, as is 6. They then pass through the arena after 7, and then move up into another flash and quite technically challenging part of the course, and that's an area where we've got a fair chance of seeing a few mistakes, I'd imagine. They then go up a pretty steep hill to 10, which is another TV control, and then we have one of the key legs on the course, I think, a big long leg across the steep hill to the northeast of the arena. The maroon and blue splits are the ones which will be used on the first 2 legs. The red is the last leg. They then come down the hill, back into the open area marked by the yellow, and into the finish, and that completes the course. And we're just about ready for a start here in the women's race, and Norway, the defending champions, wearing number 1, Heidi Buxtevold, and we're at the start now, and 28 teams in the field, with Norway the defending champions, but teams like Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark and Finland will certainly be ones to watch. They go up the first hill of the course here. We might expect to start seeing people spread out a bit, as some teams will have the nearest of the first controls, others more distant, and we can see that happening now as the rain does start to fall again. But Heidi Buxtevold is the first we see approaching the arena, and she has a pretty clear lead. That's fairly unusual for this stage of a relay. Normally there's still quite a lead pack at this stage, but Heidi Buxtevold for Norway has opened up a lead of about 40 seconds over Helene Janssen running for Sweden and Aya Krastina for Latvia. It's an excellent start for the Norwegians there. Now we're at the top of the hill at number 10. But Switzerland have taken the lead here. So Norway have lost a little bit of time on this section of the course, and Switzerland have caught them. Sweden and Denmark a minute behind, also Latvia. So the Danes have also caught up and got themselves into a reasonable position on this part of the course through Emma Klingenberg. Now you can see they're climbing a very steep hill and also planning carefully. We can see here the Norwegian mistake that saw Switzerland catch from Heidi Buxtevold just a little bit high on number 9, and they're then together. We also see here Finland and Russia making quite a significant mistakes on control number 8, and that was essentially the last we saw of them today. But the Swiss have come through on the last part of the first leg, and Sara Lucia has come through Norway and Switzerland, Norway and Sweden on that last part of the leg. And Switzerland will take a useful lead into the second leg of this relay. Sara Lucia finishing in just over 36 minutes. And she'll hand over to Sabina Hausberg. Just behind that, we have Denmark and Sweden. We also have Latvia just behind that. So 3 teams pretty close to each other, and all within about 40 seconds of the lead. So still well and truly still in contention. Norway losing a bit more time on that last part of the course, and they finish the first leg in 5th position as Heidi Buxtevold hands over to Tone Vigermer.
Annika Bester from Sweden.
And we can see here where Norway lost their time. They came down a bit too much coming out of 11. Definitely not a good option. They did quite a bit of extra climb there, and ended up losing probably a minute or so. Ukraine came through in 6th, and now we have Emily Kemp for Canada in 7th place, and Finland just behind that in 8th. And we can see here how rough the forest is in places. This is the second control on the second leg for women, and this is the battle for 7th position at the moment between Great Britain and Canada. We can see there's a lot of timber on the ground, a lot of rocks on the ground, quite thick undergrowth, and not all of the forest is like this, but enough of it is to make parts of the course a pretty serious physical challenge. And this is Louise Oram for Canada chasing Claire Ward. But now we have Denmark out in front at the first TV control. So Ida Bobak, who's already won medals this week, has gone through the Swiss on the early part of the leg. We did have a couple of small errors there by Sabina Hausberg and Ida Bobak, setting herself up to perhaps put herself in contention for another medal at the end of what's been a pretty good week. And the Norwegians go through there, but we have Switzerland and Sweden a clear minute and a half behind Denmark at this stage, with another minute and a half back to Norway. Now you can see here where Switzerland went wrong. They just came a bit too far south, coming into the control, end up having to go round. But now we see Denmark out in front as they approach number 8, but they're a bit offline here, and they do lose a bit of time coming into 8. And that Sweden had the shorter split here, and that means that Sweden have caught pretty close to Denmark, and in fact by the top of the next hill Sweden have caught up and gone through Denmark. So we have Sweden now in front here. So Annika Billstam, who won yesterday in the area next door, so she obviously likes this terrain. Denmark just behind, and the Swiss have a bit of a gap back to catch up. They're a bit under 2 minutes behind at this stage, but still in third place. And at this stage it's looking like those three countries are probably going to fight out the medals unless they make a significant mistake on what's left of this course and on the last leg. But Sweden have come through to take the lead at this point, and Denmark will be not too far behind that. So we see Denmark go out. Denmark will go out 10 seconds behind at the end of the second leg. So Ida Bobak handing over to Maja Raum, Sabina Hausberg handing over to Jutta Fieder, and for Sweden, Tove Alexandersson is out there. So 3 quality runners, all have won medals recently, and it's going to be a pretty tough battle on the last part of the course. But Switzerland went out 2 minutes behind on at the start of the leg, but Jutta Fieder has made up that ground already, and that's a great start for the Swiss there. Denmark and Sweden losing a bit of ground on that first part of the course. So Denmark 18 seconds behind at that stage. We can see Sweden making a mistake there. Tove Alexandersson coming much too high on number 4 and losing quite a bit of time there. And then the Swiss went wide on number 6. So both Sweden and Switzerland making significant mistakes on that stage of the course. But Denmark and Sweden through now. So Armin Billstam, we can have a look at the Swiss mistake on number 6, and Denmark had a big lead, lost it, but now they have it again, coming through the arena as they come up to number 8. And we have Maja Raum misses number 8. She went very, very close to it, but she missed it. And now the 3 leaders are together. So it's Annika Billstam down below, and Jutta Fieder and Maja Raum all together as they go into the last part of the course. And there's no further forking on this course, so it's going to be a straight race to the finish as they come through the 10th control, and Switzerland just in front there, but the 3 of them all pretty close together. And the 11th is going to be a pretty critical leg on this course, I think, with significant route choice. Switzerland went quite straight, Denmark went quite wide, Sweden went quite wide, and it's Sweden who have dropped back on this part of the course, definitely. And they miss 11. Tove Alexandersson misses 11 as well, so it's going to be a two-person race at the end of the course. And now we have them at last control. Jutta Fieder for Switzerland, Maja Raum for Denmark. They're about 20 or 30 metres apart. That should be enough for the Swiss to hold on, and it looks like they're stretching their lead out a bit in the chute. So Jutta Fieder, a great success at European Championships this year, and Switzerland, a lot of people thought they might struggle after the retirement of many times world champion Simona Nigli, but even without Simona, they've done it this year. Jutta Fieder finishing off after Sarah Lucia and Sabina Hausberg run the first two legs. Maya Alm brings Denmark in, 11 seconds behind, but it's the Swiss who triumph here. And they come through for a gold medal. Sweden will take the bronze, bit under 3 minutes down after Tova Alexandersson lost ground on the last part of the course. She's won 9 minor medals in World Championships, but no golds yet. Norway in 4th, Finland in 5th, Great Britain in 6th, as the rest of the top 10 show. Lithuania, close battle between Ukraine and the Czech Republic for 8th. Then a bit further down, Germany in 15th and the US in 17th. That makes sure both of them still have 2 runners individuals next year, as will New Zealand. Canada dropping back to 19th in the end. So for women's race over, we now switch over to the men's race, and the men's race has a somewhat different start to the women's. They start with quite a long leg across the hill, then do a bit of a loop back. So come back to number 5, number 6, and then a long leg across the slope to number 7. This long leg could see some significant route choice. They then converge again to the TV control, and they then go back up the hill. And some quite significant splits here, 9 and 10. Come back down to the next TV control there, and then their finish is quite similar to the women's, as we see the field lining up ready to start. Defending champions here are Russia, with Sweden and Ukraine the medalists from last time, but then Switzerland will be a real chance. Finland and Norway always dangerous. France as well. Would have been a bit disappointed with 8th last year, but France a very real prospect this year, and they're off. And certainly a pretty good clean start for the French, Russians and Ukrainians particularly, as they head off and get ready to head up the hill. It's a pretty steep climb out of the arena, and this will test them out straight away. A bit more spreading out early on in the men's compared with the women's. That longer first leg means there's a bit more route choice on that first part of the course. We see the left-hand pack going through as they go up into the trees and into the denser forest. The first sight we get is at the first TV control, and it's a good start there for France as well as Switzerland. Frederick Tronchond and there, as well as Fabian Hertner, who was a silver medalist yesterday. But there's quite a few runners coming through here, and we've still got a pretty close bunch. Sweden 22 seconds back, and then it's a steady stream coming through. Finland, Belarus, we've got Norway coming through, Austria, a couple more, Germany coming up the hill, Italy on home ground, Hungary just missed a little bit but coming in from the side. But now we have the lead bunch coming up to the arena passage, and it's now down to a bunch of 4, Switzerland, France, Sweden and Belarus. So good start for Belarus, the other 3 as you'd probably expect. And it's we're now coming up to the control at the top of the hill, and it's Frederick Tronchond has opened up a little bit of a lead for the French as he gets that control through in 27.41, and he now sets out on the key leg across the hill, and he's opened up a little bit of a break here over Fabian Hertner for the Swiss and Jonas Leonardson for Sweden. Also in the mix here are Belarus, so it's still the same first 4 that we had at the arena, but the gaps have got quite a bit bigger with about a 25-second gap. Now France are in the finish chute, so Frederick Tronchond will bring France home in front. The French take the lead as he hands over to Francois Jean. Just behind that, Switzerland and Sweden, but the gap only about 5 seconds. And Austria come through in 4th place, so an excellent first leg there for Austria and Trigurno Kirschbaumer, who's had a good week. Estonia and Great Britain in 5th and 6th. Now we're early on the second leg, and it's Daniel Hoopman, who's one of the leading orienteers in the world, and we might expect him to make an impression on second leg instead of Janon and Fredrik Johansson of Sweden. And these 3 have broken away from Belarus on the first part of that leg, and in fact Belarus have dropped back, so we now have 4, 5 and 6. Estonia, Great Britain and Austria also passing through that control. So the Swiss now have opened up a little bit of a gap here as we come up to the next TV control. Daniel Hubman imposing a bit of authority on this race, although the gap's not big. Janon only probably about 10 seconds behind, in fact 7.8 seconds behind. But Sweden have dropped back a bit though, 48 seconds down, and then it's the second pack. So Denmark have got into this pack. The Estonians are still there, Austria still in the mix, and also Great Britain. So a pretty tight battle there for positions 4 through 7, 2 minutes 45 to 2 minutes 52 behind the leaders. It looks like 2 clear races developing here, one for the medals and one for positions 4 through 7 at the moment. Now it's very close here at the front. Ganon has in fact caught a bit of ground on Hubman on that leg. They came in from opposite directions, so Ganon's route choice perhaps just a little bit better. And France and Switzerland are together at this point. And but we come up now to the top of the hill. You can see the rain is starting to get a bit heavier again. And Hubman has opened up a little bit of a break here. No sign of the other 2 runners yet. So Hubman putting Switzerland in the box seat. And in fact, the gap's opened up to about 40 seconds here as Ganon goes through. And in fact, the Swedes have caught him. Fredrik Johansson has caught Francois Ganon, and they're about 40 seconds behind Daniel Hubman for the Swiss. And Daniel Hubman comes through the changeover to the sound of the Swiss cowbells. Doesn't quite get the punch right on the last control, so has to go back for it. We've lost a second or 2 there. But he goes through and he gives Switzerland the lead going into the last leg with Matthias Kieberts coming through. And it's going to be quite a useful lead too, because the Swedes and Finns are only just at the top of the chute. Fredrik Johansson and Francois Ganon. But it's we're now last league action. It's Matthias Kieberts up against Thierry Georgiou, who's won many gold medals, only won in the relay in 2011, and also Gustav Bergman, a relatively young Swede. And we're also seeing 4, 5, 6 Finland, Norway, Denmark, Great Britain coming through, also Estonia. So a good battle there for the lower placings. But it's at the front end, and we see that Switzerland took a straighter route on coming from 4 to 5. Sweden and France went further around, and that looks to have been a good option because they've closed up. The 3 are all pretty close together now. Switzerland have lost their lead from end of the second leg, and Thierry Georgiou is out chasing Gustav Bergman. And Matthias Kieberts just a little bit behind. Not a lot, certainly not out of contention, but he's 14 seconds behind and just has a little bit of work to do at this point. Now we see them go through 9 and 10. It looks like Sweden had the shorter split here. They'd have had a longer split on the earlier leg, and they've just got a little bit of a jump on the field here. France and Switzerland still going through number 10. They look to have lost a little bit of time on number 10 as well. They just seemed a little bit slow in the circle there. And Sweden have opened up a little bit of a break on France and Switzerland. You can see that on the tracking. It's probably 30, 40 seconds or so. So good move by Sweden in this sector. And you can see Gustav Bergman coming through to number 11, and he's on his own here. The French coming through, but they're about 30 seconds behind. So Thierry Georgiou, Matthias Kieberts have quite a bit of ground to make up. And Georgiou and Kieberts together at the moment. Thierry Georgiou, of course, has got a great reputation last leg of relays. He ran down a big gap on the last leg of one of the world's biggest relays, the Jukka relay in Finland last month. And so he knows how to do it, but he's got quite a gap to pull in on Gustav Bergman as they come up. And in fact, Bergman has pulled further away on this part of the course. The gap's ticking up, 54, 55, 56 seconds. So it's expanded further. France and Switzerland still together. And we see at the end of the leg, Sweden nailed 16. They're still, Gustav Bergman still in front. 17, probably the last really technical control. You can see Bergman got that one fine. So have Thierry Georgiou and Matthias Kieberts, but they need Gustav Bergman to make a mistake from here, and it doesn't look like he's going to. And he hits the last control. Yeah! And he knows he's got a clear lead. His supporters know he's got a clear lead, and he's got to He's got the luxury of having to run in to celebrate. His teammates, Jonas Leanderson and Fredrik Johansson, join him, supply him with the Viking helmet. I don't think he's going to exactly get the fastest finish shoot time here, but I don't think he cares one iota about that. Sweden are going to take the gold medal, and will be the first World Championships gold medal for all three of these runners. For Johansson, it'll be his first medal of any kind. It's a relay gold medal for Sweden. They had a very long drought through much of the later part of the 20th century into the early 2000s. They have had wins since then. I'll be very pleased to get this win here. Gustav Bergman finishing off the good work of Jonas Leanderson and Fredrik Johansson, and it's a comfortable win for Sweden. And they celebrate the win there. They know they've achieved something pretty special, but this is a battle for second. Matthias Kieberts and Thierry Giorgio. Kieberts has the break of about 20 metres. Giorgio trying his best to run it down. He's making some ground on Kieberts, but I don't think he's going to catch him from here. And Kieberts has the lead, and Kieberts will take the second place, the silver medal. 1 minute 8 behind Sweden. The French finished just a little bit further down, about 5 seconds further back. And that's a bronze medal for the French. We've still got a good battle going on for positions 4 through 8. We've got 4, 5 and 6, Norway, Finland and Czech Republic, all very close to each other, with Olav Lundenes for Norway, for Finland, Morten Bergstrom, a very fast runner. But the Czech runner, Jan Prokaska, has just missed number 18 a little, the second last. Should have been a fairly easy control, but he's just gone above it, and that's enough to spoil his chances of battling for 4th and 5th. And further behind that, there's a very tight battle for position 7 and 8 between Great Britain and Austria, Graham Gristwood and Robert Merle. So this is a sprint finish for 4th and 5th. Bergstrom loses just a little bit of time at punch there. He didn't punch right on the first one. He's got a very fast sprint finish, and Lundenes is going to have to work very, very hard to hold him off for 4th place. Lundenes in the chute. He's still in front. He might have enough here. Bergstrom, I don't think, is going to run him down, and Lundenes brings Norway home in 4th place. Finland in 5th. Czech Republic in the finish chute now. They will come home in 6th position. And here's the battle for 7th and 8th between Graham Gristwood for Great Britain and Robert Merle for Austria. This is the closest we've seen yet. And Gristwood just in front. Can Merle run him down? It's going to be a photo finish. Gristwood just a metre or 2 in front, and Gristwood makes it for Great Britain to give them 7th. Robert Merle 8th for Austria. So good results for both of them. Estonia came in 9th, and that's where we are at the moment. Still quite a lot of teams to come in the as the remaining 34 teams running today. At the fair, the first 9. Sweden the gold medalists. Switzerland just squeezing out France for the silver. And as the Swedes celebrate their victory, it's time to wrap up. That's the end of the 2014 World Orienteering Championships. And we'll be back in Scotland in August next year.